G'day, my name is Shawler and I'm a creative who paints and writes fiction. I invite you to experience this soul-deep painting and immerse yourself in contemplating beauty while hearing the story behind it and while viewing the painting. Soul Deep is my free gift to you.
Today's painting is one of my figurative works, and it is about the parable of the Good Samaritan, which you will find in the Gospel of Luke in the Bible. And I've put the chapter and verse here just in case you want to go read the story, because I'm not going to tell you this story. So in today's painting, we're going to look at the inspiration, the composition, and the symbols and the meanings within the painting itself. Let's take a deep breath together. And walk with me as we go through this painting together. And at the end, there will be a chance for you to walk through the painting all by yourself.
My initial inspiration for this was the ceilings in the churches and palazzos of Venice. I was there in November 2019, right before the Grande Acqua. The artist Tiepolo, with his light colours, clouds filled with angels and fairies and goddesses, was so gorgeous and inspiring that when I returned home, I bought some second-hand books of his work. How did he make it look like the ceiling opened into the heavens? I wanted to create a painting like Tiepolo's, but didn't have a suitable ceiling to hang it on or paint on. The second inspiration then was to create a painting to go above a door or high up on a wall. I had seen these in churches, so I thought of my church, Good Samaritan, and that gave me my subject matter. Now, to put it all together, which took a while as I didn't actually start prepping the board for paint until November 2020. There was a small thing, the pandemic, that I had to process. We'll save that for another episode. But back in January of 2020, I knew the Good Samaritan had to be a woman, unlikely as it is that a woman would be traveling alone on that road to Jericho, because this needed to be about representation, changing the skew away from the male point of view in the Gospels. And also, the Good Samaritan is never named. The hemorrhaging woman was never named. The woman at the well was never named. And the woman with the expensive oil was never named. So why not depict her as a woman? In this painting, the Good Samaritan woman is black. I debated about whether or not to do this, but she insisted. She had to be a woman of color. This is hard to explain, this intuitive knowing, but the idea took hold during a summer of Black Lives Matter protests, and the country's systemic racism laid bare yet again. I worried about how it might be perceived. A black person in a helping role? But in this scene, she is the heroine. She is the rescuer. It came down to not centering whites, as has so long happened in the Western Church, turning Jesus from a brown man into a white one. It is important to center people of color. These stories are their stories too. They belong in these stories. They belong as the heroes and the heroines. This is a short video from Procreate showing how I got the composition together. It finally fell into place. The Good Samaritan reaching out to help, being pointed out by a very Tiepolo angel descending from the skies, with two more cherubs peeking down from the clouds. Although this took a bit of manipulating in Procreate to get what I wanted. The reference images are from Unsplash. Imagine this for a minute being above the door. Above the door, with her hand extended, she challenges those with paler skin. Are you willing to be helped by me? Are you okay with me being black and being good? Do your heroes need to be white? Above the doors, with her hand extended, she welcomes all. Let me help you up from your troubles and bring you into the beloved community that lives here. She reminds us of the precious charge to welcome everyone. I did a lot of painting over the Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, and as I worked, I listened to a few speeches of his. I listened to his final sermon, made the night before he was killed, and he mentioned the parable of the Good Samaritan. I stopped and listened when he said, "And finally, a man of another race came by." Another race. Here I am, painting the face of a black woman. I listened to his retelling, his experience of the road to Jericho. He concluded with, "And so the first question that the priest asked, the first question that the Levite asked was this: if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? But then the Good Samaritan came by, and he reversed the question. If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him?" And so I wrote on the bottom edge of the board, "If I do not stop to help this person, what will happen to them? Not an accurate quote, but it's gender neutral. Thus, this painting also asks you, the viewer, who do I help? Who do I not help? What do I fear I'll lose if I help? And always coming back to, and if I do not help, what will happen to them? The Good Samaritan asks us to remember to reframe and displace our fear. Well, let's look at the painting again. Do you see what's behind her? I was aiming for an aura, but it became a heart-shaped cloud. That was accidental. She was responding to her heart to help. The heart is an obvious symbol, and here, partly obscured, maybe a bit lopsided. Once revealed, it remained. Why? Well, I'm going to be a bit vulnerable here. It remained because it reminds me that I am beloved. This is something I forget, that I am loved by the divine. And if I need reminding, maybe there is someone else who sees this painting, maybe you, who needs reminding that you're also loved by the divine. Do you see the profile in the sky? That's also an accident. It looks like the figure is hugging the entire scene. I didn't see this at first, or even second, but it reminds me that this is what the divine is about, that is, love. This is how the divine works through the painting process, bringing about revelation and thus transformation. God is embracing the entire scene, all the people, the wounded figure, the Good Samaritan, and yes, the priest and Levite, distant figures on the mountainous road. God embraces all of them, even those who did not stop to help. God loves and is in love with all of them, with all of us. Because, as Martin Luther King Jr. suggested, the two who had passed by might not only have asked the question, what will happen to me, but also the question, how do we stop the root cause? What can we do to stop the systemic brigandry that happens on this road? And they may have formed a committee in the city to work on this problem. And even if the priest and the Levite did not go and do that, they are still in God's embrace, still beloved. Even making a wrong choice doesn't remove you from the divine love.
So there were symbols and pieces in this painting that I didn't see as I created it, and there are probably still more. So now is your chance to dive into the painting yourself and take a look. I'm going to be showing a series of images of various parts of the painting and the painting as a whole, and just give you a chance to see what you can see and feel what you feel about this painting.
Here are some questions to consider. I have them in the description too, if you need to refer to them during this reflective part of the video. If you could give her a name, what would it be? Are you willing to be helped by her? Do your heroes need to be white? Who do you help? Who do you not help? What do you fear you'll lose if you help? And if you do not help, what will happen to them? Where does your life, your story connect to this painting? And just pick a question if it's too many.
I invite you to settle in and just see the painting for yourself, or reflect on what comes up for you, what stirs in you, and at the end we'll come back and we'll revisit. I would like you to take a few moments now to ground yourself and bring yourself into the present moment. And we're going to do that by taking just a few deep, solid breaths. So if you'd like to close your eyes, you may do that. Otherwise, let's get started. So we breathe in, hold it at the top, sigh it all out. Breathe in, hold it, and sigh it all out. Feel your body's weight against the couch or the chair or wherever you might be sitting. Breathe in, hold it at the top, sigh it out. Just becoming present to where you are right now.
What did you see? Share in the comments below. Did you find anything new?
Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications when the next Soul Deep video goes live. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon on this Soul Deep journey.